Hey guys, my name is Timothy. I'm making this video to discuss about walking versus jogging versus sprinting and which one you should use for your goals, whether that's weight loss or whether that's health or athletic performance, whatever, okay? So I want to start this off first with the health aspect and say that whichever one you choose, it will improve your health, okay? Whether that's walking, jogging, or sprinting, as long as you don't suffer any kind of injuries from any of them, they're all good for improving your health. When I say this, I mean that your risk factors for cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and obesity will all go down. Now that we got the health out of the way, let's talk about adaptations. So we're going to start off with sprint training first, alright? So when you do sprint training, when you do intervals, you typically have an increased amount of mitochondria in the cell. For those that don't know what mitochondria are, they're basically the powerhouse of the cell, and the more mitochondria you have in a cell, the more efficiently oxygen can be used during exercise. When it comes to steady state exercises such as jogging or walking, you will typically see an increase in stroke volume and a decrease in resting heart rate. So the reason for this is related to cardiac output. So for those that don't know what cardiac output is, it's basically the amount of blood your heart can pump within a given minute. The equation for cardiac output is stroke volume times heart rate. So when I was talking about sprinting earlier, sprint training, the reason why it doesn't improve resting heart rate or stroke volume is because your heart rate is constantly being elevated. And when your heart rate is elevated, stroke volume doesn't really have to compensate. Okay, it's only when your resting heart rate is lower that stroke volume tends to increase. When it comes to steady state exercises such as walking or jogging, they tend to have a better effect on heart health because they reduce resting heart rate. And because they reduce resting heart rate, the heart gets more time to fill up with blood. And because it gets more time to fill up with blood, the heart can get stretched out more, and that results in a higher stroke volume. One last thing before we move on to the next section is that sprint intervals are not enough to induce better stroke volume and improve aerobic capacity. The reason for this is because the primary energy systems being used for sprint intervals are not the exact same as those being used for steady state cardio, which I will cover pretty soon. Alright, let's talk about weight loss. Let's see, sprint intervals versus steady state cardio. When it comes to sprint training versus steady state cardio for, say, weight loss, fat loss, whatever, there tends to be a lot of people that say that steady state is better than high intensity interval training or sprint training, simply because the percentage of fat being utilized in steady state cardio is more higher than the percent being used in, say, high intensity interval training or sprint training. But the thing is that even though the percentages are higher, does not mean the total amount of fat being utilized is higher. In fact, there have been many research studies that show that sprint intervals can induce more total fat loss than steady state cardio. Let's talk about EPOC. So EPOC is excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. After exercise, your body needs more oxygen to recover the energy that was lost during the workout in the form of ATP. So ATP, if you guys don't know it, is basically the energy that our body forms by using creatine or glycogen or lipids. I will talk more about that later, but right now what you need to know is that higher intensity equals higher EPOC, okay? Duration is not a factor when it comes to EPOC, okay? And when you have higher EPOC, it means that you have more calories that are burned. Alright, onto energy systems. So there are three main ones I want to talk about. So the first one is ATP-CP, the second one is Glycolytic, and then the third one is Aerobic. Okay, for the ATP-CP system, it typically is used for short bursts. So if you're going from sitting to standing, or if you're going from walking to sprinting, okay, any kind of short burst. So it typically goes on from 0 seconds to 20 seconds for a maximum of 30 seconds, okay? And its primary energy source is creatine. Alright, moving on to the glycolytic energy system. So this is typically used for prolonged bursts. So think of it as for lifting weights or for sparring. This is typically used anywhere from the 20 or 30-second mark all the way down to the 3-minute mark. And its primary energy source is glycogen. Finally, there's the aerobic system. So this is the one you guys all know. This is the one that's for prolonged activities that are past the 3-minute mark, and the energy source it uses primarily is lipids. Alright, the final topic for the day is going to be limitations, recommendations, and extra information. So, anyone who has been inactive or has had injuries to the ankles, knees, or hips in the past should start off with low impact movements like walking, okay? You do not need to jump into jogging, okay? Just start off with walking and slowly build yourself up. So choosing between the three, walking, jogging, or sprinting, depends on the activities you typically perform as well as your age. If you're starting training very far past your prime, you'd likely want to build up slowly and minimize impact on your joints, so walking will be a prime option for you. If you had an active lifestyle, then I would say that it depends on your goals at that point, whether or not you want to reduce stress on your joints, reduce stress in general, go for health, improve your athletic performance, etc. It just depends on your goals. Now, if you're trying to compete in high-impact sports such as football or boxing, you'd likely want to choose walking as your main movement. I know that might not sound, great to everyone, okay? But just hear me out, okay? The reason why I say this is because when it comes to sports such as football or boxing, you're typically already doing a lot of high impact movements, a lot of footwork drills that will put a lot of stress on the ankles. And because of that, I know a lot of people want to do extra work outside of, their sport, right? Their sports training days on their off days, okay? But unless you can recover properly from, say, running like 3 or 5 kilometers every single day, that you have off, then it's likely not going to look well for you, and you're probably going to see a decrease in performance, right? Because of all the stress that's going towards your ankle. Everything depends on your recovery. If you can recover from your training outside of your sport, and you can run like 5K no problem any day, right? Then yeah, go ahead. Just keep doing that. That's perfectly fine. But if you know that your recovery can be impeded, right? Or your recovery isn't as good as it was back in your prime or whatever, right? Then stick to walking for now and use jogging as more of like a light kind of conditioning work for your off days, okay? Alright, so the final topic I want to talk about for this video before I end it off is going to be jogging versus walking. So I know I sound like a piece of shit for this entire video because, I basically only recommended walking to everyone. But there's a reason for this, and it's because a lot of people don't build themselves up first before they go into jogging or sprinting. So what I typically see is, office workers that are very, very inactive, right? They want to go straight to jogging, but the only thing is that because they're so inactive, they have a higher chance of injury, okay? They want to go to like jogging and sprinting for their fat loss or for their health or whatever, right? But their chance of injury is so high at that level, okay? So what I want them to do is build up with walking first, because you can still get a very, very good cardiovascular benefit out of just walking, brisk walking, okay? You can get very, very good cardiovascular benefits, and you don't risk a lot of the stress on the joints like you would with jogging or sprinting. Once you get proficient at walking, okay, then you can slowly start to move into jogging, and then you can go into sprinting, okay? It's just simple stuff, and I really think it's irresponsible and stupid whenever I hear someone goes from like inactive to just jogging straight away, right? It's just very, very stupid, irresponsible, and I never want that to happen or see that happen to any one of my clients. So it's time to end off the video. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys found it interesting and informative. If you guys have any ideas or topics you guys want me to cover, just let me know in the comment section and I'll see to them. Alright? Have a nice day, guys. See ya.